Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing this evening? My name is Georgina Dean, and I am the GEG Aman group leader. And I'm super excited to be sharing some more awesome tips and tricks for Google for Education and G Suite updates with everybody tonight to support them in their endeavor for distance learning success. We're currently in our fifth week of remote learning here in the capital of Jordan, which is Amman. And we're always really excited to share with everybody online on Tuesday evenings any tips and tricks as well as updates to support you with your students and your learning. So if you are joining us this evening, please go ahead and share your name and where you're joining us from in the YouTube chat underneath or to the right of this video. And we'll just wait a minute or two to get started. Hi, Dina. Dina's joining us this evening. Dina, where are you joining us from? Of course, I know, but we always ask people to jot it down in the chat. It always inspires collaboration together. And also, in the meantime, I'm going to share the link for today's Google slide so that everybody can take advantage of the links that are embedded inside today's presentation. Yes, so Dina is joining us from Cairo, Egypt. Thanks so much for joining us. And for those of you who missed out, we actually had our very first ever training event day in Arabic this past weekend. And Dina joined us as a guest speaker, and we chatted all things Google Slides and some tips that have helped her with success over the last few weeks of distance learning. So I will also drop the link for that as well into the chat in just a minute while we're waiting for everybody. And so today, basically what we're going to be reviewing is some resources that I came across this week. And we're going to take a look at the updates for Google Meet, super exciting stuff that's integrated with Google Classroom. And we are also going to be taking a look a little bit at calendar and how we can support the use of calendar with our students. And if you are an education technology coach, then how you can use that to collaborate with your staff as well. Or maybe you're a school leader joining us this evening or watching this after the live session as a recording, you'll be able to get some tips for that. So here is the playlist from our Arabic event. And if you click on that playlist link, you will find, I actually, to be fair to myself, I did start out bilingual. And then I realized that I was going super slowly in presentation. So I ended up switching to English about a quarter of the way through. So I'm going to be a super resourceful individual and continue working on my Arabic skills. However, the first three presentations, which were Google Drive, Google Classroom, and Google Sheets, were presented by three of our amazing Google trainers in Arabic. So if you would like to get some Arabic content, then you can click on the link below. Okay, so let's get started with today's shares. So the first link is actually a blog that I came across about the use of video to engage students' critical thinking. And there are some great links embedded in here on how to use video with your students in the classroom. So as you can see, you just hover your mouse over the different apps. I'll just make that a little larger so that people can see that okay. And then it will take you to other links. There's some TED Ed lessons in there on how to collect responses through Google Classroom, some inspiring music to get people started, talking about Google Auto Draw. So actually I'm going to click on Google Auto Draw because that was an interesting tip that we were looking at last week, or I think it was the week before, maybe even. So Google Draw is listed in there, and we also have Adobe Spark and use of sketchnoting, which I was pretty excited about in case any of you know me. Sketchnoting is something that I'm currently embarking on. It's one of my own personal takeaways because I was never really good at drawing when I was growing up. And I recently found out, oh, well, a lot of people have told me, I'm certainly not an expert, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people have been sharing that, art skills are a learned skill, just like any other subject with practice and dedication. So I've been practicing weekly and I'm building those. And it is quite a creative, um, skill to build. You can throw on some music to listen to while you're doing it, or if you're sketchnoting about a course that you're learning about or a book that you're reading, then it's a great way to make that visual connection, to retain information, and take your learning deeper. So definitely something that I would shout out to everybody to follow up with is sketchnoting. Also, Padlet's mentioned in there, and I particularly liked this. That I came across. Creativity is not simply artistic expression. When students create something as part of the learning experience, they also engage in critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. And as we all know, it's all about the 4 C's to become a 21st century digital citizen. So really, really exciting. So take a look at all the awesome resources in that blog post if you have chance. And the second link that I had on there was common sense. So there are often a lot of people who are asking about if a website is pertinent or safe for certain age groups of students. So I just wanted to bring everybody's attention to common sense. Common sense is amazing, and you can actually become a common sense educator. And everything you need to know is here. So there's a section for parents, and there's a section for educators. And it basically gives you everything you need to know. So if you're a parent, this is a great website, by the way, for educators on the call to share with your parent community, because I'm sure currently they have a lot of questions as well about what's safe, how much screen time should I be using, what movies are safe to watch and appropriate for different ages. And so there are parent guides here to all sorts of things, apps and games, books, movies, and TV. So it's a brilliant resource to share with your parent community. And then there's a section for educators as well, similar, what is available. There's professional development opportunities. You can take training and become a common sense ambassador. I actually did that this past Christmas. And resources in Spanish and coronavirus support. So it's how to get your students connected during distance learning. Definitely take a look at that one. I'll just go ahead and click on it to get you started. So it talks about basically a blog on different tips you can do in order to have your students collaborate during distance learning. So I'm just going to, there's also for resources for advocates, so Kids Privacy Zone, creating access to digital citizenship resources. There are some resources in there pertinent to America where this is housed, but there's also different areas pertinent for Europe as well. A certain link. So you just have to navigate your way through. If you are in Jordan, obviously you would just need to make sure with your school, as with any country, I should say, probably, you should need to make sure that you check with your district or your school leadership to make sure about the rules pertinent for the country that you're residing and for the school that you're representing. So what may be good in one country for one school is not necessarily the same rules that apply in another country. So definitely make sure always to check with your school, but this is a great place to start. So I'm just going to click back because I'd already embedded the link. Okay, there we go. So this part of Common Sense is all about the privacy program. So if you're interested to get started with an application, it's a great way to look at privacy practices, and it's evaluated by these experts to say, is this safe? Is this not safe? What age? What are the pros and cons? So we'll just take a look at one that we are using is Pear Deck. I know we covered that in training, and it is an awesome tool to engage students through Google Slides. So if you click on Pear Deck, it has an 84% pass rate. And if you just scroll through the app, it actually explains why it was given that rating. It talks about safety. And if you scroll down, there's privacy and there is security and compliance. So it gives you everything that you need to know. If you scroll even further down, a lot of schools now are asking about what is the data that is actually collected by a company, because students' privacy rights are of high importance. And so it gives you all the information you need to know about every particular app. So Dina is saying that yes, parents are asking teachers about screen time at her school. I totally agree. I know we just gave a screen time chat on the Thirsty Thursday PD with the Asia Pacific region. And absolutely, it is a big concern on everybody's mind because the devices are being used so much more now for online learning. So how do we get that balance? How do we achieve that balance in a household? And it's going to be different for every family, right, guys? Because some people have one-to-one devices in their family at home, and other families are sharing, and some don't have any at all, maybe just one, maybe cell phones from the parents. So it differs from family to family. But I did want to bring this website up to everybody's attention because it is a super brilliant resource to have. And so you can check any application that your school is interested in starting to collaborate, learning on or with, starting here. All right, so we're going to move on to the next link. And this link, I just found out about myself when I was at the BET conference in the UK this past January. And it's called the Chromebook App Hub. And what was really awesome was that I was just literally on a webinar from Apps Events. If you've heard of Apps Events, they provide online training and a whole bunch of awesome events, similar to the ones we do with GEGMN to support educators using G Suite for Education. And the issue of privacy, data collection and student privacy, etc., came up. And Apps Events shared this, and I totally forgot that actually they offer similar service where you can check apps for vetting for privacy and data security. So basically, you could just click on any app. For example, let's say, there we go, Adobe Spark. I know that Dean has used that, and I've used that also. I'm using it. Basically says that Adobe is a Google Cloud partner, and basically you can visit the site and it gives you an overview if you scroll down. Resources, they actually have resources here to get you started. And app specifications. So if you click the arrow to the right, it will give you all the specifications you need. So if you're going to be using it on a Chromebook, for example, it tells you that it's recommended to have 2 GB of memory in order to use it on a Chromebook. And then the one right underneath that is the data policy and accessibility. And it links directly into Adobe and student privacy or terms of use or GDPR compliance. So it's an amazing area for you to have all the information you need to know. And again, scrolling even further down at the bottom, digital learning journals, a bunch of resources. So at a Chromebook App Hub is a brilliant place. And I can't believe, I guess because we're so busy supporting with the COVID-19 closures, I don't always remember all of the resources that are out there. So it's a great opportunity for us to share a couple each Tip Tuesday and know that this is out there and exists. So Dina is saying, yeah, Dina is saying that these questions about data privacy were happening even before COVID. You're right, Dina. And so it's just about knowing what resources and tools are out there to support schools and educators in finding the best solutions to support their students' learning. So absolutely, great point. Okay, so moving along then. Those are our 3 resource shares for today. So if you have time later on, definitely take a look more in depth and keep them maybe starred on your Chrome bookmark or tab in order to access them later. Some really great tools. Okay, so the next one is another awesome dig for today, the Hangouts Meet updates. So I know, funnily enough, that I'd shared this recently with Dina because she just started using that. And Dina, go ahead if you want to share how your experience was. I know you were really excited to share with me on privately the last days how the success you had with that. Well, I'm explaining and then we can shout that out in a minute. So if you click on start a video meeting with integration with Google Classroom, it's got basically all of the how-tos and how Google Meet has now become integrated with Classroom for easier access for educators to use the feature during learning with their students, specifically distance learning right now because of the school closure. So I'm just going to open up my classroom to give you the lowdown so that you don't have to read everything. But I did want to link that in there so that you have the how-to instructions after. And of course, there's always awesome, um, awesome. There we go. Awesome videos and tutorials online as well to support you with that. I know a lot of my Google certified trainer colleagues are making amazing content. Shout out to Eric Kurtz from GEG Ohio. Shout out to Seti from GEG. Oh, I don't remember which GEG he's part of, but he's also giving webinars on apps events this evening too. So there's loads of great content made by amazing educators. So keep your eyes peeled for those. Okay, so when you're inside your Google Classroom, how can you set it up? So previously, as we talked about before, you set up your Google Meet through Google Calendar and you can invite people that way or take the link and share it on your Google Classroom. So now with this new update where Meet is integrated into Google Classroom, when you're inside your Google Classroom, on the right-hand side, you're going to click on the settings wheel. And the first box is the class details. So we just scroll a little underneath to the general tab and you'll see here that there is a section for Meet. And when I click on the arrow, it allows me to copy this link. Now I've already turned that on. So I'm actually going to go ahead and choose a different Google Classroom where I haven't turned that on yet so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so from the settings wheel, again, going down to general, we'll see there underneath at the bottom of the general box is the Meet. And you see there that there's a generate Meet link box. So you're going to literally just click generate Meet link and it's going to create the link just for your Google Classroom. And that is going to be the only link that you need. So it saves you having to go in. It's super time efficient, guys. Saves you having to go into Calendar to a different app, get the link, duplicate, reuse, etc. It's just there. And this is the Meet link you use for any synchronous distance learning you do with the students from this Google Classroom. So when you click on the drop-down arrow to the right, you can reset that link if you need to. So if there was ever any technical difficulties or whatever issue comes up, it's there if you need to reset the link. And then you can just copy that link. Right now, as you can see here with the toggle button set to on, that link is visible to students. So without touching anything, if I go here and click save, now we can see on my Google Classroom home screen that my Meet link is right here underneath the title in my banner, my header for this Google Classroom, and you can see there's a little Meet icon there. And because it's visible to students, that means that when the students log in, they're going to be able to see this Meet link as well. Good evening, Ahmed. Ahmed is one of the GEGMN Google trainers that was supporting the Arabic event. Nice to see you this evening. Abed's joining. Hi, Abed. Welcome. Guys, please go ahead and list where you're calling from. Of course, I know, but it's always nice for the other viewers to join as well. Super nice of you to pop in to say hi, Abed, and Ahmed as well. We're just reviewing now the integration with Google Meet into Google Classroom, and Dina's been sharing her experience. So I'll just keep going, and you guys can say hi. I'll just finish up this excerpt. So yeah, with the Google Meet, you can then take the link and you can use it. But as I was saying before, it is visible to your students. So if you don't want to have that link visible to students, you would just go back into the setting wheel. And if you scroll down a little bit, you would be able to toggle that visible to students off. And then if you click save, you'll see on the Google Classroom header that that link is now no longer there. So again, for privacy and for safety, you can leave that off. I know, for example, Dina, when she was starting out, she was just doing a little test group with a few of her students. So to prevent the other students logging into the Meet, she had that hidden until she opened it up. This basically, the brand new integration for Google Meet means that it's going to prevent students from staying inside the Meet after you close it. It also prevents students from kicking each other out of the Meet. So some brilliant updates that G Suite ran through as well. And also Google, it was previously called Google Hangouts Meet, and they've now rebranded it as just Google Meet, just so that everybody knows. Okay, so let's take a look at the chat and see if there's any questions about how to use that Meet functionality through Google Classroom or how to turn it on. And then if you want to set up your video meeting, as I said before, all the instructions are there, linked in through our Google slide. I will go ahead and drop the link again for the Google slide into the chat. If Ahmed or Abid would like to join, please feel free. And yes, Abid has shared his Twitter handle. So if anybody would like to follow him, I totally would agree to do that. Abid comes with a wealth of knowledge. If you've joined us before, all about, he's basically a tech expert. And he did the zero inbox zero. Did I say that right, Abid? Zero inbox, so getting your inbox down to zero. Super awesome webinar, so do take a look at that. And also brilliant with the admin console. So he just became a Chrome OS certified administrator as well. Abid, I'm totally taking that soon, so stand by, hoping to join that bandwagon as well. Okay, so we have about 8 minutes left, and I've got a couple other goodies to share with everybody. Dina was just sharing about presenting her screen in the Meet, so she was able to engage her students. They played a quizzes activity. Super, super awesome how Dina's getting on with her app smashing too. Super congratulations to that. And just reading the chat questions now. Yes, Abid is joining us from London. Abid is the leader for GEG UK. So super nice to have folks joining from the UK this evening. And just reading through the rest. Okay, good. All right, so we have a few minutes left. I'm just going to get through the other resources. So as privacy is of a concern, obviously, as it should be for educators and parents and students, there are some tools that you can use if you would like to keep your surroundings behind your camera private while you are doing a Google Hangouts Meet. Google Meet. It's now rebranded to Meet. So I have to also get in the habit of calling it Google Meet. If you would like to do that, these are some options for you. XSplit vCam, the third one listed below, is available for Windows. But not available for Apple, but it is a brilliant alternative. So you can download this if you are a Windows user. And also the second on the list was Minicam. Minicam came as a recommendation from other Google certified trainers. So it is for purchase. You can download for free, and then obviously if you want to upgrade, you can pay the difference, but is also another option for streaming with backgrounds behind. And then the one that I'm currently using is completely free. It's called Snap Camera. And Snap Camera is downloadable for PC and Mac, and it's free. So when you download it, you can have the options of different backgrounds. So this morning I did a video for my year 10 form, and I had like a nice peaceful, not forest, maybe jungly forest area. Anyway, green for nature, for well-being. And I was on a call with other Adobe leaders the other week, and I had like the brick interface on the back, and it had a microphone pop up. So there are loads of different backgrounds that you can experiment with, as well as for your your students. Again, though, just make sure you get the app vetted with your IT department and your school to make sure that it's okay for students to use first. So I'm going to let you guys play with those if you're interested to have different backgrounds on your screens. Okay. All right. So the last section for tonight, we have about 5 minutes, is just basically taking a look at Google Calendar. I've embedded some links for everybody, how to view due dates on events on the Google Calendar, how to use the calendars as a teacher, and how to share your calendar with somebody else. I know that when I was an educator not so long ago, I didn't even know that I could share my calendar with other people. So this was obviously before becoming a Google certified trainer, so a couple of years ago. But these are important things that we don't always know, because as many teachers know, we have like set schedules, and we don't always need to have the use of a calendar because the timetable stays the same most weeks. However, especially with distance learning and modified timetables, calendars definitely something that's becoming more useful across the school setting. So basically what I wanted to show everybody, if we go into Google Classroom, so I will use this Google Classroom, for example. Make that a little smaller. There we go. Okay, so the first thing to note that when we go to the classwork tab at the top, there are two folders here, one for Class Drive folder and one for Google Calendar. So as soon as I click on the Google Calendar link, it is going to open up the Google Calendar directly for me. And as long as here on the left-hand side at the bottom, I have the Google Classroom in question, which is here, this year 3 PI. So I'm going to just remove all the other Google Classrooms. I usually have them all showing. If that's a little overwhelming, you can just click the one if you only have one or a few. So here for this Google Classroom, this is year 3I. And when I clicked on it, it opened up my Google Calendar, and now I can see just the assignments because I just have year 3I ticked off on the left. So it enables me at a bird's eye view to see what's coming out. I also have the holidays for the country that I'm residing in ticked off, so that's always going to show along the top as well. So a really great opportunity to have quick access in, which is really awesome for students as well. I know we looked at in one of the training events as a student profile. Students can see by clicking on the calendar on the left-hand side in the stream here upcoming and view all. And you can also have a bird's eye view of assignments that are due, what's been returned, what's in progress, etc. However, if you'd like to do it from a calendar view, then you can very easily, under the classwork tab, click on Google Calendar and check it that way. Okay, so I think Abid left. Sorry, I didn't get to say bye, Abid. It was nice to see you. Thanks for popping in. And I guess Ahmed, and there's a few others here. If you are joining us, please go ahead and drop your name in the chat and where you're joining us from. Allows everybody to connect internationally, which was one of my favorite things about the Google Educator Group, is that we can connect inspiring education leaders from all around the world. So definitely go ahead, drop your Twitter handles or your emails if you would like to collaborate with others across the continents. Okay. So now we have reviewed how to access the Google Calendar for a Google Classroom directly from inside Google Classroom. Now that we have the Google Classroom calendar open, let's go ahead and check how can we share this calendar. So for example, when I highlight, like hover my mouse over year 3I, I see that there are 3 dots that pop up. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots and I'm going to go to settings and share. Settings and sharing, sorry. So when I click on settings and sharings, now on the left-hand side, I have like a little table of contents for each of my Google Classroom calendars for settings. So I have the calendar settings, invitations, access, etc. So if you would like to share your Google Classroom with another member of a colleague in the school, for example, or you would like to take this Google Classroom calendar and post it as a link on your Google Classroom, this is how you would do it. So right now we can see that this is a view, set to view on the Google Classroom calendar, on the Google Calendar, sorry. And if I want to share it, I'm going to go just scroll down. You can scroll down or you can click on the table of contents menu on the left. So I'm going to scroll down to access permissions, and I'm going to see here a box that says get shareable link. I'll make that a little bit bigger now that I've scrolled down. So at the very top, I'm going to scroll down now along the right-hand side to access permissions, and I'm going to click on Get Shareable Link. When I click on Get Shareable Link, I can click copy, or I can double click and Command C or Control C, or right click and copy to get the link. Lots of different ways with technology. And then inside my Google Classroom, what I can do on the stream is either in a post or most of us, and I would encourage people to use the classwork tab when creating posts, because it just means it's much more organized and navigatable, if that's a word, to easier for people to navigate to the post that they're looking for. And if you can try to use like a format for your post to make it consistent, it's going to be a lot easier for students and any co-teachers in the classroom to navigate. So you can just click on create material, for example, if all you're doing is sharing your calendar, and we would add a title with the date and maybe a subcategory or the title of the lesson. Maybe that would be subject first then. And then in the description, please find attached the Google Calendar for this classroom. And you can click add, and you're going to choose link because we've already copied to our clipboard the link for the Google Calendar. So now I'm going to paste that into the link. I'm going to click add, and now I have added, as soon as the internet decides that it's fast enough, there we go, to link to the Google Calendar. So then I would just assign that to a topic, for example, and I would post or schedule my lesson. So now what I'll do is I'll click post to make that immediate so that we can see it. And I posted it in the English topic. There we go. And now I have my Google Calendar. So again, if I click on the Google Calendar, it's going to take me to the Google Calendar link. Perfect. So now what we can do is back in our settings, I'll just close that and go back into the calendar. I can choose what I want to do with the settings. So share with specific people. We can see here with the specific people for the share settings that it actually already has my Google Classroom set to see all event details. I can click on the drop down menu and I can choose to see only free or busy. That means when my students click on that classroom, they're only going to be able to see if a time slot is busy or it's free. They're not actually going to be able to see the details. So if you want to be able to keep that private and you don't necessarily want students knowing if you're meeting with another student or a different parent, then you can choose free or busy, and it keeps it quite confidential for your students, but they know when you're actually available. So it's a great tool if you are using office hours. Or you want to say to your students, you know, I'm free Monday between 10 and 2, for example, if you'd like to book a Google Meet with me to review your work, or if you need extra support, then here's the calendar and you can book it. And then students can see when you're actually available or busy. That's just one way of doing it. Of course, your school may be set up differently. The school I'm working at, for example, is not using office hours at all right now, but I know that there are many that are. So I wanted to make sure that I shared these tips out. So hopefully that's helpful for you to be able to see how you can manage. And then if you want to add other people, you just click on add other people, and you can choose add an email or add a name, and you can type Mrs. Benson, for example, and Mrs. Benson will come up. She is the teacher, and you can set the permission directly here as well for Mrs. Benson. So you click the drop down menu, and again, you can choose for Mrs. Benson. I do need her to see which students I'm meeting with because she's the co-teacher of the class, and I need her actually to hop on when I'm going to be meeting Albert or when I'm going to be meeting Farah. So that you can. And just a reminder that these names are all made up for the purpose of training. So this is how you can set singular permissions as you go, or you can set them for an entire group when you post it. Okay, so I'm going to click send, and now that shared my calendar with that specific person. Okay, so that is about time for today. I wanted to let you guys know how we could view events on the calendar, use it as a teacher, and then share your calendar with somebody. There are lots of other things you can do with Google Calendar as well, but again, these are just little tips and tricks to get you through a 30-minute session. So I'm just going to open it up in the chat to see if there are any questions about anything that was shared out today. in the Tip Tuesday session if there's any questions or anything else that's been really cool that anybody's been able to use from any of the other shares that we shared on other Tip Tuesday events. Please go ahead and do share it in the chat so that we can celebrate the awesome Googling that everybody's doing. So I'm just going to hang out for a couple more minutes to see if there's anything anybody would like to share. We will see. And for myself, I'm super excited to have these backgrounds, as I was saying earlier, for the video stream. So everybody's always saying, you know, how I have this funky chair and I look pretty, you know, set up. I feel quite fortunate because when I moved to Jordan, I knew that I was going to be spending a lot of time at the desk. So I went to IKEA and I was like, oh, yes, I need to stock up on some good quality office furniture. But there's a lot of people that didn't have that opportunity before the schools closed, right? And so maybe they, you know, have their personal items behind. And we want to be conscientious of what we're sharing or not sharing when we are meeting online. So these video backgrounds give you a really great opportunity to do that. So I've been trialing a few out in my lessons. And also that engages your students, you know, and it makes and inspires them to want to be risk takers and try out new app smashing techniques as well. Okay, so taking a look at the chat, looks like, yeah, Dina says she's interested in trying out Snap Camera too, absolutely. And she's looking forward to trying out more Google Meets with her students. That's awesome, Dina. And I just know, because I know Dina, I've worked with Dina for many years previously to this job in Jordan. And she's such an amazing, inspiring educator. And she's so warm and has great connections with her students. So I know that they're going to be just super excited to be able to connect with you. And I know we've talked about that before in our sessions, guys, how that that visual and connection to each other is just so important right now in distance learning, where everybody is cooped up at home and can't see their friends and their teachers that they're used to seeing every week. So it is a great opportunity for you guys to make that connection and with your students. All right, so that's it for today. If there's no other questions, we'll call that time. And I would like to thank everybody for joining today, even though it is a crazy busy time for everybody. Some of you may actually also be on holiday right now for the April holiday or next week. So if you were able to tune in or you're watching this recording later at a convenient time, thank you so much for joining us. Hoping that you can all take advantage of these great G Suite for Education resources, among others, that can app smash with G Suite for Education. And I'd like to thank you on behalf of GEGMN for everything you're doing to support educators and your colleagues and your students and parents of your students, the families all together during this difficult time. So thank you for everything you're doing, and stay safe and stay healthy. And we look forward to seeing everybody. If you have time next Sunday, we always do our meet check-in at 6:30 p.m. GMT +3, which is Jordan local time, for 10 or 15 minutes just to see how everybody's doing. And we have our Tip Tuesdays every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And we also have our end of month webinar coming up at the end of April, so stay tuned for that. And if you do have access to the Google Slides, you will find our GG registration form attached to the logo, which is embedded in the Google Slides. If you'd like to pass that out to any of your colleagues who you think would benefit from these sessions, then please feel free to share out the registration form so they can hop on our social media platforms and take advantage of the great resources that are being offered. So thank you so much for joining us today, and stay safe, everybody, and see you soon, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.